On Friday, Hong Kong experienced record-breaking rains that rendered much of the city immobilized. Metro stations were submerged by flash flooding, and motorists were trapped on the highways. Schools were closed, and the government advised the public to seek safe shelter. Residents were seen in videos and photos passing through floodwaters that were murky brown as heavy rain continued to flood the city with a population of 7.5 million. Authorities were compelled to rescue drivers trapped in their cars because streets in some low-lying regions were transformed into raging torrents. Late on Thursday night, the downpour started, with the Hong Kong Observatory recording more than 158 mm (6.2 inches) of rain between 11 p.m. and midnight, the most hourly rainfall since records began in 1884 between midnight and the next morning, according to a government news release. According to the online meteorological information service OGMET, certain areas of the city received close to 500 mm (19.7 inches) of rain in a 24-hour period. Many locals were taken aback by the severe weather, which hit Hong Kong just days after it was battered by its strongest typhoon in 5 years. As it approached Hong Kong last weekend, Typhoon Saola, a super typhoon at first, had reduced to the level of a Category 2 storm, but it was still strong enough to close down the city and cancel hundreds of flights. The storm, according to the authorities, injured 86 persons, with the stock exchange cancelling morning session and all schools closing on Friday due to the downpour. The financial centre once more experienced significant transportation and business difficulties. In light of the hazardous travel conditions, authorities urged firms to permit non-essential staff to stay at home or find safe shelter on Friday. Professor and resident of Hong Kong Stuart Hargreaves got stranded while returning home late on Thursday and was forced to spend the night in his vehicle. He claimed that the flooded streets were impassable and that at one point, water was coming over the hood of the car and I thought it was going to flood the engine. He stated that many more automobiles had been flooded and were floating close by. He was able to park in a secure location, however, because there was nowhere to go, he was stranded there until dawn. 9 hours later, he was able to make it home, but the road was full of rocks from landslides, debris from trees, abandoned cars, and so on, he claimed. Connie Cheung, a 65-year-old assistant nurse from Hong Kong, said, "I've never seen scenes like this before. Even during previous typhoons, it was never this severe. It's quite terrifying." Olivia Lam, who resides on the eastern side of Hong Kong Island, told AFP that it appeared as though the floodwater had cut off the entire community. One of the underground car parks is completely underwater. "It's absolutely shocking," stated Jackie, 52, who resides in the Wong Tai Sin neighborhood with his aging parents. "I don't think our district has ever experienced floods this bad. Our day has been converted into mayhem," he continued. "The bottom floor of the mall is fully flooded. The water level is higher than the storefronts." According to the Hong Kong Hospital Authority, 119 persons had been reported hurt by the rain as of Friday afternoon, and 4 of them were in a serious condition. John Lee, the city's leader, expressed his extreme concern for the widespread severe flooding in the area and said he had ordered all departments to make all-out efforts to address the situation. The transit system in Hong Kong is severely disrupted, according to Eric Chan, Secretary for Administration, and an extreme conditions situation would last until Friday at midnight. A television news outlet stated that a person who was transported to the hospital by rescue personnel was declared dead upon arrival. A shopping centre in the Chai Wan neighbourhood was partially submerged, while Hong Kong's Cross Harbour Tunnel, one of the key thoroughfares connecting the island to Kowloon, was completely submerged. A station in the Wong Tai Sin neighbourhood was flooded, and video that was widely shared online showed floodwater pouring down the steps, prompting the city's mass transit railway to say it would cease service on one of its lines. In another video, employees at a different station can be seen battling to stop flooding at the entrance while knee-deep in water. Kui Sai Kei, acting director of drainage systems for Hong Kong, stated during a news conference on Friday that floods were caused by rain that was heavier than the city's drainage capacity. Public broadcaster RTHK reports that all of the major bus, tram, and ferry services were discontinued, while the majority of other subway operations were still running normally. Many routes are still closed or detoured, despite the fact that some bus services restarted Friday afternoon. The officials issued the highest black rainstorm warning for the first time in 2 years, and numerous highways were also closed off owing to the danger of landslides in the mountainous region. Videos from Thursday night showed chairs and other objects lying around the first floors of various buildings and retail centers as floodwater enters them. On the island of Lantau, where swelling rivers burst forth into the sea, roads were also submerged. A total of 1,000 calls for assistance were answered by emergency services. A portion of the Yuting estate in Shorkiwan was close when a landslide occurred, replacing the retaining wall with a sizable waterfall that threw massive amounts of mud and heavy stones over the road and golf course. During rush hour, a considerable number of buses, taxis, and private vehicles were left flooded on Lungchiang Road in Kowloon's Wongtai Sin area, with the river-like floodwaters reaching shoulder height at their height. A local of Shengshui, a town in the New Territories close to the internal border with mainland China, said he had concerns about the release of floodwater from a reservoir in neighboring Shenzhen and whether it led to flooding in Hong Kong on the other side of the border. The resident, who would only provide his last name Wong out of fear of retaliation, asked Radio Free Asia, why did the government only make an announcement a little over 10 minutes before Shenzhen's flood discharge? On Thursday night, as rain began to fall in Hong Kong, the government claimed that Shenzhen's flood discharge was planned, but it appears that Shenzhen suddenly decided to discharge the flood, and that the Hong Kong government was caught off guard and only informed just moments before the flood was discharged, Wong added. Even when a powerful typhoon hit Hong Kong last week, he claimed that in his nearly entire life of living in the New Territories, he had never experienced such terrible flooding. The Hong Kong government must be honest and open in its reporting because human lives are at risk. After Shenzhen, a nearby city, announced it would release water from a reservoir, the administration issued a further warning that there may be a risk of flooding in the district's northern New Territories area, which is connected to the Chinese mainland. In the central and southwestern regions of Guangdong province, the China Meteorological Administration said heavy rain will continue till early Saturday. Shenzhen, a city in Guangdong, was completely closed on Friday, including all schools, several subway stations, and offices. As seen in state media videos, locals in Shenzhen cautiously walked through knee-deep water while clinging onto safety lines. The greatest rain has fallen in Shenzhen since records there began in 1952, according to a rainfall log, which shows 465.5 millimeters, 1.5 feet, poured there over a 12-hour period. According to Chinese official media, the downpours in Shenzhen also smashed a number of city rain records, including the maximum rainfall records for 2-hour, 3-hour, 6-hour, and 12-hour periods, which had stood since 1952. Kindergartens, primary and secondary schools were closed on Friday as a result of the 469 millimeters, nearly 18.5 inches, of rain that fell in Shenzhen between Thursday evening and Friday morning, according to official media. There, too, transportation was hampered by the suspension of 6 metro lines. The city in the Pearl River Delta connecting Hong Kong to China's mainland was predicted to get more than 500 millimeters of rain every day, according to Shenzhen media. With trains between the city and the provincial capital of Guangzhou stopped, videos showed that both the exit and entry portions of the Shenzhen railway station were inundated. There were about 100 individuals stuck at the station. While the city of Zhuhai, which is close to Macau, issued a waterlogging and landslide warning, schools in 10 districts of Guangzhou were closed for the day or forced to open late. It rained the most heavily in 15 years in Dongguan, an industrial city north of Shenzhen. While the problem can sometimes seem overwhelming, we can turn things around, but we must move beyond climate talk to climate action, says Ted Turner. Please subscribe to Weather Collapse if you want to know more, and be updated on the latest news about natural calamities or disasters happening all over the world. And don't forget to like today's video. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.